Hello. So today I'm talking about something that came up in a meditation, and I thought, I don't know if I want to share that, but when I'm getting messages about how I can help people or what's meant for me to share in these videos, it's important that I listen and I don't reject the message or the guidance. And that's a good segue because I'm talking about how you can recognize and listen to your guide, how to meet your guide. What is a guide exactly? Well, it's like an angel, a guardian angel for you. Your guides are teachers. They are your allies and guides on your hero's journey, in your soul's journey. And they've been with you for all of time. So, the reason, the hesitance I had about talking about this is I feel like I don't want to get pinned down with, I don't want to get pinned as just a spiritual life coach or just a spiritual, like, woo-woo kind of person who, yes, I work with crystals and I do energy healing and mediumship and I do help with dream interpretation, and all of this is very much in the spiritual world. But I always want to be taken seriously because the spiritual world is just an aspect of ourselves. It's as important as the material world. But I've known and noticed that our culture values the material world more. So my hesitance this morning was in sharing that was, how many of these videos have kind of leaned towards the more spiritual topics, and will I be taken seriously, or am I going to be like kind of pinholing myself into the spiritual side of things? But the fact is, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. If you're watching this video and you've been watching my videos and you want to continue watching my videos, or maybe this is your first one ever and you're totally turned off, you're like, this is not for me. The fact is, it doesn't matter. It's okay. So that's what I was told, and I thought, okay, cool. I can get behind that. Sometimes I'm just a little afraid of how I put myself out there, and then I go ahead and do it anyways, and then there you have courage. So, all right. So first of all, your guides can often, first of all, here's the first thing. Your guide wants to speak with you all the time, no matter what. So it's just a matter of when you're ready and when you want to let that side of yourself blossom. If you want to experience your spiritual life and get to know your guide, it is always going to be up to you when you invite that in, when you allow that. So my point in saying that is your guide has always been here for you, always wanting to support you. And they're 100%, your guide is 100% here for you. There's no other person on the planet in existence, no other being, no other soul that they are dedicated to the way they are dedicated to you. So it's a very special bond and a very special relationship. How I see it is, I view my guide as a representative of the universe, a representative of God, of light. It's my personal angel. That's a guardian angel. So a guide is like a guardian angel, but they're really here to help you on your spiritual journey, in your growth as a human being who is a soul in a human form. So how you can get to know your guide, I feel like it's always harder to talk about these sort of things when it's hard to be so concrete with something that's not concrete. You know what I mean? But one way to get in contact with your guide is through dreams. Oftentimes they are reaching out to you to see if you're ready to communicate with them, to work with them, to ask for their help and lean on them for assistance. And they will reach out and let you know that they're there in your dreams. But a lot of people don't use their dreams and they don't take advantage of them. But your dreams are literally tools for you to see areas of your life that you could improve on, see potential health risks and health issues, and advance on in your life's journey through understanding your shadow or things about yourself that are limiting to you. And a lot of times this information will come to you through a guide in the dream. So certain ways to see if there's a guide in a dream. A guide is often presented as someone with a title in the dream, like a doctor, a policeman, someone who would have a title, like a teacher, things like that. Like that's what they do. That's one way. It doesn't always mean that's a dream. That's a guide, but that's one way to determine that your guides are reaching out to you. Another way is that they will show up in the dream as someone who doesn't speak, who doesn't say anything to you, but you observe that person in the dream. And through the action, the guide is showing you an aspect of yourself, but they're showing you using themselves. So you might have a dream where you watch someone doing something, but that person never speaks to you, but your observation is meant for you to take away that information, and that guide is in the dream for you to represent that. Another example of a guide would be someone who is taller, very tall. When you look up at them, they're taller than you in the dream. Blonde hair or white hair also can represent a guide. And you know, you have many guides. This is the thing, you have a spirit team. But how I've come to know my guide is there's one particular character, I guess you could say, who presented themselves to me in a dream, and then I started seeing them and feeling them and having an awareness of this one particular type of guide that's different than the rest. So yes, I will have guides come in my dreams and tell me things or show me things. I have one that shows up during my healing sessions, but the guide that I work with the very most was introduced to me through a dream. And it was the first time I had ever had a dream that was like this. And it said, there was a picture of a person who it was kind of like a person. It's kind of hard to explain. I won't get into too much detail because I feel a little protective of my guide and me and the relationship, and just that it's very sacred. It's very particular to you, and no one else has a guide like yours. Your guide is just for you. But there was this character that came up in a dream, and it was an image of this character in a book. I flipped open the book, and the character's face was illustrated in the book, and there was a title next to the name. And when I woke up, I had a really hard time remembering what the name was, but I saw the name, I saw the title, and then a couple other symbols that I won't get into all that. Later, I was told by my mentor, this is important. This is an important time that your guide's reaching out to you, and you're going to want to get clear on what that name is. So I went into meditation later that day after having the dream and clarified the name and got down to the name, and it was a very unusual name. That's why I had such a hard time remembering it and even saying it in the dream. So your guide might come to you in a really explicit, is that the right word? No, that's not right. A very clear way, but it could be more subtle. Another way I was thinking that is probably really common for guides wanting to reach out to you and for your guide to recognize your guide is if you've noticed the same kind of thing happening in your days, like there's some synchronicities going on that you can't really explain. It almost feels like something or someone is trying to get your attention with a certain message. Like if you've seen, I don't know, like the picture of a blue bird, and then you see it on TV, and then you get something in the mail that has a blue bird. And I'm just making something up, but it's like you see this kind of this correlation, or this repeating message in all these different forms throughout your days, but you don't really know why or what it is. That could be your guides trying to communicate a message to you, and they're using electronics, music, TV, pictures, someone else saying something. They could be using all these different ways to try and get your attention, and at that point, I believe you're meant to ask them more. Like, you can ask them very clearly, I don't understand what this means, but can you please tell me more, and can you make it really obvious for me? Sometimes I have to do that. I have to ask them to be really clear and to make it obvious. But anyways, so your guide can come to you in all different forms, and dreams is a huge one. That's why I really love using dreams to understand our spiritual selves, to grow, and also to get past limitations, whether it be physical limitations, like if we're getting an illness that we don't know about, we'll find out in a dream years before it manifests, so it gives us time to fix the problem. But we'll also learn of our limitations on a personality or psychological or emotional level. And a lot of times your guides are the ones who are giving you those messages in dreams, and it's all meant for your growth, always meant for your growth. So whatever information is presented to you in a dream, even if it's negative, it's meant for growth. And within that same dream, you will usually have a solution to the issue. So you don't just get the issue, you get the issue and how to solve it. Okay. So I felt a little unsure doing this video. I don't know why. I think it's just so hard to generalize and speak about guides. Like, it's, there's just so many ways that they communicate with us. There's so many different forms that they show up. Even in the years that I've known my guide and been really aware of the presentation, how he looks, how he feels energetically when I feel him present versus some other being or angel. It's a very different, it's a unique energetic signature that, anyways, my point is, even in the years of working with him, and I say him because it's kind of an odd, it's not quite the way we think of hymns. But the way I've known him has changed. So it's just, I feel like I don't want to be too concrete with any of this stuff, because when I met him, it was very clear how I saw him. And then there was a time where he was just light. It was just a light kind of frequency. It was like a vibration, and that was how he was presented to me. And then there's been times where it's been very humorous, the way he's interacted, very, very funny. There's been times where I've gone through portals with him and done all this adventuring and energy healing with this assistance. And then there's been other times where it's much quieter, and I feel like he feels like a big brother to me, very soothing and protective, and other times very much more like a mentor or a guide, or just leading by an example. So there's just that's just my experience with my guide. And I meet a lot of people who are in this world, and we have our guides and we can talk about them, but I feel like it's such a private thing that I don't get a lot of information on other people's guides. But what I do know is that everyone's guide is different. Everyone's guide is exactly for them and nobody else. And they're literally just waiting for you to use them, to call on them, to help you. They're here to help you and nobody else. And that's such an amazing feeling, because I think a lot of times we can feel really alone or misunderstood or something like that. But once you get familiar with your guide and you you really call on your spirit team, you will not feel alone. You'll always be guided. That's the point. Yeah, cool. So if you have any questions about that, or you want me to take a look at your dreams, you can always reach out to me. My email is on the banner of my YouTube channel, and yeah, you can always find me through things like that. Okay, I'll see you around. Bye.